So let's say some things out loud. My name is Mateo, and I am joined today by someone I've known since 1991. We have been roommates. We have been in each other's weddings. And we've been in each other's lives for a good long time now. And he and his family has always made a place for me at their table. And I love them all very much, and especially this fella right here.
Oh.
I'd like to introduce you to my friend Matt.
Hello there, listeners. My name is Matt. I've also known Mateo as long as he's known me, which is remarkable when you stop and think about it. And while we both didn't come from here where we are, we've both ended up living in the same city after all the various weird places we've traveled in our lives. And it's a pleasure to be joining you all.
This is actually the first in a series of audios.
I was just going to say, I didn't comb my hair or anything.
Oh.
The joke, listeners, is that I'm going bald.
And my joke would be that I'm not.
Mateo has enough hair for any three of us. Bless him.
So, first question, Matt. How did you find out that I was sick?
That is a good question. For different reasons, a lot of 2021 and 2022 are also a blur for me. But this one I remember with crystal clarity. So we've been friends for a long time now, but we haven't always been close and staying in touch. I don't think that's normally either of our prominent skill sets. Nothing wrong with that. You know, we're adults. We got lives. We seem to have children and things. And so the way I found out about it, embarrassingly enough, was through Facebook. We hadn't talked for a little while. I think the last time I remember us getting together and talking pre-COVID was going out to dinner and discussing / disagreeing over a Star Wars movie. I want to say The Last Jedi, which we both liked, but there were other issues, as any long-standing friendship will have. And then there was a period of radio silence, and I was on Facebook, and I saw something that your wife had put out there saying, "This is a public radio story about Mateo and his struggle with long COVID," which was the first that I had heard that you had it, because we hadn't talked for, goodness, I'm not sure how often we had talked to each other between then and the initial COVID outbreaks of late 19 through early 20.
The only times I could think of would have been on some of the online Zoom meetings you would host, Zoom get-togethers.
Yes, that. But those came afterward. I don't think I started doing the online Zooms until after I had heard about you, or even if I had, we hadn't interacted until after that. So yeah, absolutely. Seeing a post from your wife on Facebook, that was like, oh, language redacted for the children. I had no idea this was going on with Mateo. I had better reach out and see if there is anything I can do. Because even if we hadn't talked for a few months, you are part of my family. I have said for years that you are, in fact, my father's favorite son. So I hope my brother's not listening to this.
Well, they gave me a crock pot when I got married.
They gave you. I didn't get a crock pot when I got married. I kept getting knife sets. I think I have been married a couple times, listeners, and the first time I got, I think, 4 different knife sets. which is it's a thoughtful gift once. It's kind of handy twice. But make sure you coordinate with anybody else at the wedding. How many knives do you really trust these people with? One of them actually ended up getting regifted. I'll try to be a little less hilarious, I guess.
Yeah. Ow.
One of those knife sets actually ended up getting regifted to the person to whom I am now married. You just never know, kids.
Really?
Yeah, really. When she and I got married, I got some of my knives back.
That's fantastic.
And life is what it is.
Oh.
So yes, I was going to talk about the video series thing at some point, but I think that ties into one of your later questions.
Okay.
So we're going to hold off on that one for just a moment.
Ah.
But yeah, that was the public radio story about you. That is how I found out. And that's how everybody in my family unit found out, I think.
I'm not good at saying I'm in trouble, I need help.
Welcome to the human race.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not as though there's a lot of help I could do other than say, hey, remember me? We're friends, right? And sure enough, we're friends.
Don't undervalue that.
I won't, believe me.
There are a lot of people who didn't have that reaction.
And this is always one of the hard things about any sort of long-term or chronic condition or anything that just makes people uncomfortable to see. You are not the first or only person I've known who's got some long-term thing that is not simply going to get better if you take the right vitamins. And yeah, it's sad and depressing and disappointing, the number of people who will just decide that they don't have space for that in their lives. I mean, we're all going to make our choices, but I was not going to turn my back on you. Good heavens, even if there's nothing useful I could do, you needed to know that I was there. And here I am.
Here you are. Moving on to question 2. What can you tell me about some of those first times you saw me? The initial reaction, my condition at the time. What do you remember from that?
This is an excellent question because I spent a lot of 2021 and 2022 in kind of a mental fugue state. I didn't realize it at the time. To the best of my knowledge, I escaped any long-term effects from COVID. I have had it. But I was very depressed through a lot of that. So I don't remember a lot of things as well as I could, but I have the good fortune of being married to somebody who not only is wonderful, but who has actually known you technically a little longer than I have. Since I think the two of you met, through marching band before you and I met. So I want to say you were in the pit with her.
How about that? Yeah.
Funny, isn't it?
I hadn't really realized
yes,
that. Yes,
she has actually been your friend longer than I have.
Take that.
Tell me about it. So I will tell you the first thing that I remember, but I asked her because I knew she would remember, because I don't remember the first time I saw you post-COVID, but she does. And what she said was, we were in the last place we lived. We currently live in a proper house like real adults, but before we lived in this weird duplex that got built into the side of a hill. And among its many other flaws, the place was essentially just stairs. Stairs and stairs and stairs and stairs with a few small rooms off of it. Very, very odd, very hobbity in a way, not the fun way. And the first time I think that we saw you in person, if we can trust my wife, we were having some sort of a game afternoon that you and your daughter came over to. We played zombie dice, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
And what we'd been communicating, you and I, and we knew that stairs were not going to be something that you just skipped up. We knew it was going to be a process because you'd have to come up the hill to our place. We did save him a parking space, listeners. We're not monsters. But then you have to take the stairs, and the few stairs up to the porch. The porch was a flight of stairs up to the living room. If Mateo ended up needing a bathroom, there's another flight of stairs. And it was just watching you very slowly make your way up those stairs, stopping for a rest on the landing at the midpoint. Um, and it's not that we didn't know you had long COVID. It's not that we didn't know long haul was not serious, but just watching you have to stand there and spend a couple minutes catching your breath after going up 6 or 7 stairs. That really kind of hit home that, oh yeah, this is a very serious thing. Or at least this is what my wife remembers. I don't entirely remember that myself. I remember zombie dice better, weirdly enough. But I do remember the first time I heard you. Because you mentioned earlier that I had started this Tuesday night hangout. I had the good fortune of having an employer that responded wisely to the outbreak of COVID and sent us all home, and I stayed home for the next year and a half. I was very fortunate there. And my employer had also gotten everybody, we all had laptops, we all had Zoom. So I had set up just a regular Tuesday night Zoom session for anybody who knew me and or who just wanted human contact, since so many of us were hunkered down in our homes. And you had started signing on to those. I remember that very clearly. And you'd occasionally drop something into the chat. But I remember the first time you spoke, like just hearing you. And again, we've known each other since 1991. We had 20 years of friendship at this point. And to listen to you rasping and wheezing out a sentence in chunks the very best you could, it was, again, it was shocking. It was more shocking than watching you come up the stairs the first time. And I think, being candid between friends, I think it was even more shocking for you because that sentence was the only thing you said that night, or the next Tuesday, or the next Tuesday, or the next Tuesday. And I can't blame you for that. It's got to be hard to put yourself out there and accept the fact that you are not who you were, or you may not be who people expect you to be. I was glad you were there. I was glad you were there every time, man. I was thrilled to see you. But yeah, that was... I think you were probably more alarmed than any of the rest of us were by how you sounded, but you did not sound like the Mateo that I had grown up with, which is to be expected. COVID, it turns out, is kind of a mess. As I understand it, COVID is stupid. And the next few times that I saw you, the next few times that I saw you were mostly, I think I came over to visit you a couple of times. You mercifully don't have nearly as many stairs as my old place does. But, as I said, you're not the only or first person I've known who's got long-term debilitating physical conditions. So, I don't know, you'd have to tell me how I seemed. But other than being a little startled by the first time that I saw you, just compared to the mental model of Mateo I had known for the previous 20 years, it wasn't alarming or upsetting in any way. Just, this means that we're going to have to do some things differently. Probably not doing any lightsaber fighting today, that kind of thing.
No, COVID's taken that from me too.
It's true.
Son of a bitch.
Days of the Jedi Academy are over.
Now, after that, after having me over for game afternoon and some of those chats, when people later asked you, how's Mateo? What did you tell them?
I actually have kind of a stock response to that question, which, as a side note, is partly just a function of the job that I have. I'm an academic advisor at a college, which means that students often come in asking me a question that is the first time in their lives they've asked this question, but I've answered 4 times already that day. So I have found that what I say when people ask me about you is, first of all, he's fine. Mateo's good. He's obviously a long hauler, but he's fine. And then I'm a bad news first, good news second kind of person. The bad news is, and it would be, because when people ask how you're doing, what they're usually thinking of is physically, how is this person doing? And physically, you are not your best self at the moment. You are absolutely the best self you can be, and you have made huge strides in the past few years. My goodness. But yeah, you are still walking with a cane. You still have, spasm issues and that kind of thing. You have some symptoms that are hard to contain or control or predict. And that's what people think they're asking about. Physically, how is Mateo doing? So physically, Mateo is probably not having his best time ever right now. But mentally, and this is the other thing I say, he's still Mateo. You have not, as a person, appreciably changed. And if you have, it hasn't been for the worse. You are exactly who you always have been, just a little slower. And frankly, we're middle-aged. I'm who I have been, but definitely slower. So, yeah, what I tell people is the honest truth. You are still my friend. You are still the person that I'd kind of figured you would be at this point in our lives. So, and you yourself seem to have, I don't know, we've talked about this before, but we weren't mic'd, so we'll talk about it now, I guess. You yourself, I think, don't always necessarily see the progress you're making because you have to make it day by day. And so you've got kind of the frog boil thing going on there where small degrees of improvement don't really register. But I don't see you day by day. We see each other a few times a year. And so to me, you've been on a definite continuous upward trend, both physically and mentally. You are handling things physically much better than you had been since the first time I saw you. And you also seem to have sort of sorted out how you're going to live. Whether it's figuring out which of your symptoms are going to be more problematic, whether it is developing, interesting coping strategies, designing board games to pick a completely random example, or just taking the extra time to sew even more pockets inside of your clothing, which is the most Mateo response to a situation that I can think of.
I have added a lot of pockets to a lot of sweatshirts.
No, I don't blame you for that. One of the stories I tell when people just ask me about Mateo is this, and I don't remember why this was going on. You were in an airport. This is years ago, but you were in an airport and we were on the phone and you were, I wouldn't say panicked, but you were a little bit concerned because one of your shoelaces is broken. And you were just sort of, mildly freaked about this. And I was like, Mateo, stop. To take a moment, go through your pockets. Do you have anything else you can use? And in fact, you had another shoelace because that is the kind of person you are. So he was fine, listeners. He got on the plane. He might have been flying out to see me. I lived in another state at the time. But yeah, you were good. You're somebody that I can, we can always count on you to have a roll of tape or, a yo-yo or something along those lines. So I think really, now that you've had the time to add all the pockets you truly want, you will be invincible.
I do come with a lot of accessories.
He really does. He's a bargain.
Oh. Matt, thank you so much for sharing all of that.
It's a pleasure to be here talking with you, old friend.
Pleasure to have you. All right, everybody. I haven't really thought about a clever way to sign off these interviews. So I'm gonna stick with what has worked in the past. I love you all. I see you all. I would hug you all if I could. Strength and health. COVID is stupid.